Twilio has a wide variety of products that caters to all of those ways. And Twilio makes it very simple and customizable for you. Twilio doesn't want to ruin its culture. They want to make sure that we are hiring the right kind of folks who build the culture, not ruin the culture. So that interview is very important as well. That the culture that they have cultivated is amazing. There's also a very specific one interview round about the culture fit for the company.
We are here with Sachin Parate, Principal Product Manager at Twilio. Twilio has the largest market share in the communication platform as a service market. Sachin worked at Citi for a little over 10 years and now has made the move over to Twilio. And I am excited to have him share today. Sachin, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. First of all, I wanted to thank you for inviting me to be a part of your podcast. I'm really excited and looking forward to the discussion today and sharing my thoughts with your listeners.
Thanks so much, Sachin. I'm excited to hear your perspective today. Could you start by sharing kind of a brief overview about Twilio, your role, and some of the previous experiences that led you to the role?
Sure, absolutely. So Twilio is a B2B company that fuels communications between businesses and their customers. There are various ways these businesses interact with their customers, like messaging that includes SMS, MMS, WhatsApp, messengers. There are voice calls, there are video calls, there are emails. Twilio has a wide variety of products that caters to all of those ways. And Twilio makes it very simple and customizable for you. So let me give you an example. Imagine you run an e-commerce startup and you need to you get your new customers, and for new customers, you need to authenticate their customers' email or phone numbers. Twilio has an easy product for that. You want to send marketing emails or text to your customers. Twilio also has a product for that. Let's say if your customer uses WhatsApp, you live in a community and majority of your customers uses WhatsApp, you can actually use Twilio to use WhatsApp for your communications. You can even run your customer care calls using Twilio's voice calls. So Twilio has all-rounded products in communications world. Twilio is a very exciting company, and I can talk about all day long about all the products that they have. But let me talk about my role at Twilio. So I'm a principal product manager in the messaging team. Messaging is the biggest business at Twilio with very high penetration in US. However, our penetration in the international market is not that strong at this point. So my role is to unlock the international market, which essentially means identify the strategic countries where Twilio should expand and build the business, and then build the tech product for those countries, meaning understanding the requirements of the countries and the customers that are in those countries. Every country and customers have different kinds of requirements, so kind of collate all that, build a product which is more catered to those countries, and then our go-to-market team can expand exponentially in the country. So basically, by building the tech product. So before Twilio, I was a group product manager at Citibank, and I also had data analytics experience from the past. Basically, product skills are very transferable across the industries. There are three pillars to the product world. One is product discovery, then product planning, and then product development. I've worked extensively on all of these in my previous role that helped me move across the industry. So that's how, because my background from the Citibank and the work that I've done in the Citibank was very core product management role. It was much more easier for me to transition to a different industry at that moment, and that's how I moved to Twilio.
I think that is super insightful for prospective talent over to hear just about that career journey and how they're able to transition over with those skill sets. Now, you guys are dominating the cPaas market. You're valued at over $8 billion. And I know that you have your hand on the expansion efforts, as you just mentioned. Talk to us a little bit more about these innovations and expansions happening now and how you believe that is exciting for prospective talent to join.
Absolutely. All right. So Twilio is a customer-focused and a technology-driven company, which makes innovation as a natural outcome. Twilio puts a lot of efforts in putting the customer needs first, and that combined with our cutting edge technology allows us to consistently deliver innovative solutions. You pick any Twilio product. Each is an example of a top class innovative product. So there has been consistent innovation happening across the Twilio products. Currently, we are laser focused on four products. One is Twilio Flex, Twilio Segment, Twilio Engage, and Twilio Messaging. I can talk each one of those about. But I think what's more relevant here is for prospective talent. I think Twilio relies on the employees to do innovation. There are no product centric or team centric innovation. It is you and your willingness to do innovation at Twilio that actually makes the innovation happen at Twilio, right? Twilio has a very employee centric culture. It will drive you to do innovation that you'll be very proud of. So read about Twilio's magic and principle if you're interested in Twilio. Twilio truly lives those principles. Few of the examples of the principles that drives innovations are: seek the truth, share problems and not solutions, no shenanigans, empower others. If you join Twilio, I'm sure you will build something very innovative, and I'm very confident about that. So it's more about the culture that the company has, and less about uh, what innovations we are doing or which area we are in the innovations we are doing at.
Well, based on some of these company expansions, some of the upcoming innovations in your team, and some of the unknowns going on in the labor market right now, how is your team adapting their hiring strategy for the upcoming year? And what are some of the successes and challenges in this?
That's an interesting question. Okay, let me talk through a couple of things. So first of all, we're going through a hiring freeze at this point of time, and we are only hiring for critical role at the moment. But irrespective of hiring freeze, I'm sure this hiring freeze will get over very soon, and then we'll start hiring full fledged. But irrespective of hiring freeze, it is hard to attract top talent in the Bay Area for a smaller company like Twilio. When there are giants of Google and Meta and Amazon and so many other companies out there, right? So Twilio built a robust strategy to overcome that problem. There are two parts to it. One is a great culture that fosters innovation and growth. And then the second is very competitive compensation. And let me talk about both in more detail. So Twilio's culture is great. It is known as a cool tech company in the Bay Area. Um, Folks in the company are fun and extremely smart. It is a very employee centric company as well. Let me give you my example of interviewing as a candidate at Twilio, and my experience was delightful. My recruiter kept the process very, very transparent. We had so many connection points, and I have been informed about everything. How many interviews will I have? What kind of interviews, or what are the expectations in each of those interviews? What will be the results, and when the results will be open? And everything was very, very transparent. So initially, and then all the interviewers were also amazing as well. So I initially thought that it's more about me being lucky to get the right kind of recruiter and the right kind of interviewers. But then when I joined and I did the hiring at Twilio training, and I realized that it is embedded. It is the core concept of Twilio to actually focus on the employees or prospective employees' experience, and making sure that they feel comfortable while interviewing. We need to judge them. We need to figure out who are the best ones for our roles, the best fits for our role. But at the same time, we want to make sure that their experience is delightful. And that's exactly what has happened. So it is core to the business, and it is such an employee centric company that the culture that they have cultivated is amazing. There's also a very specific one interview round about the culture fit for the company, and what this culture fit is. Basically, Twilio doesn't want to ruin its culture. They want to make sure that we are hiring the right kind of folks who build the culture, not ruin the culture. So that interview is very important as well. That person can just say that this person is not culturally fit, and however amazing you do in all of the other interviews, you will not get through. So those are the two core things that helps us attract a lot of talent in the team. Now, that is basically Twilio's strategy to get the talent through the door. But then my team strategy is to basically understand four things from a customer. And this specifically from the product management's perspective, from my team's perspective. There are different teams who assess different things. But my team basically assess four things. Does this person has the ability to think broad in a structured manner? Because we get into a lot of ambiguous situations. Like if we are expanding into a country where we have very limited information, and if we were to decide between two or three countries, how do you make that decision? Right? You need to structurally think and come up with a solution. So we try and assess if this person has the ability to think broad and think more structurally. That's one thing. Second is, does this person has the ability to prioritize in really tough situations? Right? These are the situations where we are impacting our customers significantly versus our business significantly. How would you make a decision there? Right? So that's another thing. Third is this person good at communicating and influencing people? Because as a product manager, you need to make sure that you are able to put your word or your concepts across very clearly and influence people to rally behind you. Right. So that's another important piece. And the fourth one is it fun to work with this person? We are working so much time together. We want to make sure that the person that we are hiring is fun and at least nice to work with. So those are the two different strategies. Those together kind of helps us hire very strong talent at Twilio.
Thank you so much for sharing that framework, Sachin. And now, switching gears a little bit, based on your experiences building strong teams, driving large scale product, what would you say are the top three priorities in the talent management lifecycle for a product leader? And how do you really build successful and innovative teams?
That's a very loaded question. But I think three main areas in my perspective are, one is, the whole recruitment and the hiring process. It is extremely crucial to identify and attract top talent for the team. This includes developing a clear understanding of the skills and experiences that your team would need, as well as creating a very compelling brand and recruiting process. The second part of it is basically professional development. So once you have the team, it is important to provide ongoing support to the team, ongoing coaching, ongoing education, any kind of support that helps them develop and reach to their full potential. Third thing is retention and engagement. So keeping the team is as important as attracting and hiring at the first place. So this involves creating very positive work environment where people actually enjoy and wants to come to office and work with each other. People are proud of the achievements that they do in the team. There are recognitions and there are awards, and all of these things kind of makes your experience at work amazing, and that's what keeps people in the work as well. So basically three things: recruiting and hiring, your team's professional development, and third is retention and keeping them engaged.
Now, in similar alignment with that, what is your approach to leadership and management style? And talk to us a little bit about how this has adapted over time and the impact you've seen that have on yourself and the team.
Sure. Um, as a product leader, I feel it is very important to have a very clear vision, and you are communicating that clearly to your team as well. At the same time, it is important to listen to the ideas and concern if your team has any, and act upon them. So those are the two parts I feel is extremely important for a product leader. It is also important to foster a collaborative and inclusive work environment where team members feel very comfortable sharing things and ideas and opinions with each other. And that's something that leaders have to drive, not the team. So you have to make sure that there are open communications. You are actively as a leader seeking out diverse perspectives, creating a very safe environment for team members to speak up. So that's how I feel, how product leadership, that's my approach to the product leadership. Then comes the management style. So basically my personal management style is I feel everybody has two kinds of capital. You have your personal capital, you have your positional capital. I tend to leave on my personal capital much more. I believe in building relationships, not just higher or across, but to your downstreams as well. Building those relationships, understanding people, what every person gets motivated in very different ways. So, what is it that motivates that person? What is it this person is actually good at? And understanding and building those relationships. Is basically my management style. I value those relationships over anything else, and that's why I use my personal capital much more. So that's my management style. I can give you a few examples from the past where I had a very different opinion. When I started as a product manager, I used to think that I'm in the driving seat. I am the one who is coming up with a great concept, a great idea, and then the engineering team and the operations and support and other teams just has to execute. So I did majority of the work, which is completely wrong. And it was in my first 6 months. And over the time I've learned that things are different. It's all about people. It's all about people. There are people who do things for you, who can actually make your amazing concept bring to life, versus there are, if you don't have the right um, relationships with the team, you might not be able to even execute some of the smartest ideas. So I think that's how my management style has changed significantly over time. But there's just one example. There are so many learnings over the years, and I'm sure I'll continue to learn as I grow.
Sachin, share with us a piece of advice you have for up and coming engineering talent about how to gear up for the next decade of innovations in tech and be successful in their careers.
I think there are three things that I think they should keep in mind. I think one is know your interest and where you see yourself in the long term. I know that when I was at that age and when I heard about it, it was like, yeah, I kind of know what's there to do. But frankly, I can't stress it enough. It is extremely important to know where you want to go. You cannot have like two, three things that I would want to do as I grow up. And probably in like, let's say next 20 years, I can either do marketing or do product management or do, engineering. No, actually, you need to figure out where you have your interest and what you would want to do. So even when you deviate in your career and do something completely drastically different, you have that North Star or the goal in mind, and you would actually rebound towards that. So whatever you actually aim for happens, but you need to have that clarity in mind. I think that's the first thing. And even if you're talking about engineering, there's engineering into so many industries, so many areas. Some areas are very upcoming, versus some areas are something that has been there for years. What interests you, what kind of products interest you, and where do you want to work, is something that the folks should start to get clarity on. It'll not happen in a year, but at least over the time, you need to build a very strong concept of what you want to become in the long run. Second is, I think of a professional journey. I think first 3 to 5 years are about learning and gaining so much experiences. I think then the next 5 years is about building achievements and something that you can be very proud of. And then after probably 8 to 10 years, majority of the pieces are about your leadership work, how you're inspiring people, and it becomes much more people and business centric versus your achievements, your things. So that's the second thing. I think the third thing is believe in defined convention. I do that. If somebody tells me that nobody has done that, it will be very hard to do. Then I feel that I need to make sure that I need to do it so that I can showcase that this can be done. So believe in defying convention. I have done so many things in my life where people have told me that, this is non-doable. You should not even try for it. And I've done that. And I think you should believe in yourself. So that's the third most important thing. Believe in yourself and believe in define convention, and you can actually do whatever you would want to do.
Last question for you, Sachin. At Solvable, we're all about what drives purpose and meaning for people at work. So I'd love to know what drives purpose and meaning for you at Twilio.
Hmm. For me, I think it's very simple. I think the impact that I create on the business and the people keeps me going. I will be So, for an example, in my current role, I'm driving a multi-billion-dollar strategy for Twilio for international expansion. Once this, finishes and executes correctly, that's a huge, huge, huge achievement in my mind, and I would love to brag about it. That keeps me going. Another thing is, if I put together a solid team and everybody is just going gaga about that team, it's a very high performing team. That's my achievement. That keeps me going. These kind of things are something that I anchor myself to, and that makes my office life very, very exciting, and that keeps me going. That's my purpose of office work, and that brings meaning to my office work as well.
Sachin, thank you so much for being on with us today. And thank you all for listening to Architects of Contemporary Hiring.